So the window's now been installed. I was hoping to film the installation, but it was already installed by the time I got here. And it looks really interesting. It's lovely to see all this kind of definition. You can still see the definition of the individual strips, very clearly in the grace notes. But within a piece, I deliberately use different batches of the glass. So the same colour but a different batch. And that means there's variations. Some colours more than others. But you can see this kind of stripe quality. This is made up of about nearly 10,000 pieces. And they're all compressed and pushed together. And sometimes you can really see the defined lines between each piece, which I really like. That was part of the intention. I wasn't trying to make that disappear. Probably if we'd fired it even hotter, it would have. But there's a lovely kind of tactile quality to this. So you see I'm sitting right on next to the window, and you can look at it very close up. The colours are just astonishingly beautiful, and there's also this curvature of the surface, and so there's a bit of kind of tension, visual tension, not glass tension. Sort of visual tension within where it curves down, so it kind of lenses and creates this beautiful highlights and shadows in the areas between the lines. The relationship is between the frequencies. So we've got the Hertz frequencies, which are the musical frequencies, and an orchestra pitches to 440 Hertz. The A note for a piano or for an orchestra is A. Now this is A here. The A becomes pink in my system. And what the system is, I took Hertz, musical frequencies, and I took microwave frequencies called terahertz, and they correspond very nicely and very easily to each other. So I was quite quickly able to make a kind of justified system that let me look at the 12 main notes in music and then turn them into octaves. Now that doesn't really happen much in bagpipe music. There's only really two notes. There's the A, the high A, and the low A, and then there's the high G and the low G, which is in those grace notes here. There's not very many areas of low G in this work, but they're within the grace notes here quite often. The grace notes, for those who don't understand, the grace notes are small intermediate notes that allow intonation in bagpipe music. So you can't tongue the notes the way you could on a flute or a recorder or something. So in order to break them up, you play a little note in between. And so that's what these lines here are. So this is your note. This is the length of the note. And these are grace notes. So these are played in between. So here we have a deep G, we have the C, we have a D, we have the C, a G, a C, an E, a G, a D, the E, the D, and so on. And what really put me onto the piping was this structure here, how within the notation there's a very regular pattern and structure that happens on the same beat. It happens exactly in the same place through the whole piece. If I hadn't seen the music written in 4 bars, then I probably wouldn't have noticed the pattern. But it was written in 4 bars. And so when I interpreted it into colour in 4 bars, then all of this structure fell out immediately. Now if it had been written in 3 bars through the line, I probably wouldn't have seen it. So the 4 pieces of music that I used here, The Flowers of the Forest was the first, that's this piece here. That was the first piece I experimented with, and that really started on me on the way. It was also a beautiful tune, one of my favourite tunes. It's just lovely, it's just hauntingly beautiful. And I loved the visuals, I loved the structure that I found in it and everything. So that became my first tune. And then, one of the clients is called Lanny McGregor. And so I found a piece called Miss McGregor's March, which seemed appropriate. We had also talked about the idea of using whiskey somewhere within the window, and I found a piece called Highland Whiskey, which is the piece down at the bottom here. And I wanted something to balance this piece, quite a small piece, so I found a traditional piece called the Rowan Tree, which sits at the top, and that kind of helps the composition of the whole thing. And so that's how the four pipe pieces came about. Various tone in the background of bagpipe music, and if I was to do that musically, then the background would be a pink, and so the whole background would be pink, relating to the A. And it took me a long time to think about that and figure out how it related to what I'm really trying to do, and that didn't seem to be so appropriate. But what I realised that what the sound of the drones does is it creates a chord from every note. If you're playing one note against 3 other notes or 2 other notes, then you have a chord. And so in this case, it's the background. What is outside becomes the drones. The background always changes. So today it's quite grey and cloudy outside, but from different positions you'll see maybe a bit of green coming from the tree, or you'll see blue coming from the sky, or something coming from the buildings, or just the changing of light or the sun shining directly through it. So it's the ambient environment that creates the tone. So every piece of colour becomes a chord, if you like, within the colour of the background. So anyway, this now exists in this beautiful house, which is full of artworks, and it was commissioned for this space. So it was designed for this space. It's not something you have lying about. You design something, you make it fit the space, and that's what this is. And it's so interesting because it's not typical of anything that I really have done before. But this whole musical relationship between music and coloured light is so interesting that basically what I become in the process is I become like a pianist who's reading a piece of Bach, or a piper who's playing a tune. I'm not writing it, I am not creating, I'm interpreting. And basically my system allows me to interpret music in a visual way. And so it doesn't matter whether it's classical music, whether it's multi-tone, whether it's normal 8-tone and in keys, or whether it's 12-tone music, I have a system that would let me put that into a space to create a graphic of it, and then from the graphic to turn it into glass. Glass is more important than the graphic. Glass is actually transmitted light. Light is what makes it work, which is what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for mixed colours, I was looking for frequencies of light, of coloured light. And so, I don't know where it's going to lead, but it's very intriguing. It's beautiful to have made a piece. This ends up as a huge, big 3.5 meters or so abstract artwork that in a sense I designed, but in a sense I didn't. In a sense what I did was enable it and put it together, deciding on the 4 tunes. But if you follow the system, then this is inevitably what you're going to get.
Lassie's a lilting afore the dawn o' day, but noo they are mourning on ilka green loaning. The flowers o' the forest are all weed away.